Hello students, I am back in my part 3 of Medicinal and Toiletry Preparation Act, that is the topic of Unit 3. In this topic, I have told you that we will be covering the topic in these heads, in which introduction, objective, definition and licensing was covered in part 1 of my presentation, and then excise and excise officer and a brief over these two in part 2. But in this topic, in this presentation, I will be dealing in detail with alcoholic preparation, manufacturing of alcoholic preparation in bond. So, over a brief of my second lecture, that it is the excise officer or the excise commissioner who is the main person who control over the manufacturing of medicinal and toiletry preparations, and as well as we have seen how the unit of tax is being calculated under using the formula, and then we have seen the major difference between in bond and outside bond. So, if we talk about this presentation, or you can say the third part of my topic, medicinal and toiletry preparation, in this the highlight is the manufacturing of alcoholic preparation in bond. Till now, we have seen the difference between in bond manufacturing and outside bond manufacturing in definition part in part 1, and then I have told you the brief of in bond manufacturing and outside bond manufacturing in part 2, that what are the major differences between in bond and outside bond, in which we use large scale formulation practicing or in which we use small scale manufacturing practicing. So, in third presentation of mine, I will be taking this topic in detail, that is, if we are starting a business in manufacturing of alcoholic preparation in bond, then what are the protocols that you have to follow, that is the laboratory specification, licensing procedure, what are the educational qualification to start the business or the technical staff that has to be appointed. So, let us see it in detail. In bond preparation, first point, when it is in bond, you should remember it is used for large scale manufacturing. Large scale manufacturing, that is, the batches are prepared in large volume. This is the repeated slide of part 2, but over here I will tell you the major points, that is the construction of bonded laboratory as per law, the area of a spirit house, the area of a storehouse, the lab, the construction of the lab, the warehousing procedure, or you can say the procedure of the issue of alcohol from the warehouse, the storeroom, how you can keep the ingredients of the formulations ready, and the excise staff, which is the foremost importance in this preparation. Excise duty payable on removal of goods from bonded lab, that is, the duties or the levy over these products will be paid when the finished goods are being carried out from the lab to the market area. Or you can, in other words, learn it as when we are going for the sale of the product, then we have to calculate the duty that is payable over those products, and you have to pay the duty to the custom officer or you can say the excise officer. It is an inland tax which is collected by excise commissioner who is in charge in that premises. So, the first point to remember is the large scale manufacturing. Second, the goods, the levy is paid when the goods are being removed from the bonded lab. The bonded lab has to function under excise staff, that is common for all, that is excise staff का वहाँ होना बहुत ज़रूरी है. And ultimately, and the last point and the overall point, that license is required while we start a business with this manufacturing of alcoholic preparations. So, we have seen the inbound manufacturing. Now, license, how one can apply for license and what is the procedure that we have to follow while we are wanting to start a business in alcoholic formulations. So, let us see the slide in detail. The following fees must accompany each application license. Fees, and how much is the fees? If the consumption of alcohol is less than 4,000 liters, then it is ₹100. If it is less than 4,000 liters, then we have to pay an amount of ₹100. Where the consumption is likely to be 4,000 liters and more, then it is 200. So, basically the fees of the license is calculated on the amount of alcohol we are consuming. If we are consuming alcohol less than 4,000, then we have to pay a fee of ₹100 per annum, liter per annum. That is how much liters you are using per annum. We have to multiply it by 100 to pay the amount of the fees. And if we are talking of consumption of alcohol more than 4,000, then the fees will be ₹200 liter per annum. For manufacturing or for the sale of Ayurvedic or Unani medicines. Now, if we see the consumption of alcohol in case of Ayurvedic or Unani medicines containing self-generated alcohol. Now, the point comes, what is self-generated alcohol? Self-generated alcohol is when we go for the process of fermentation. You all have studied in microbiology, or you can say biotechnology, that fermentation is the process in which ethanol or alcohol is generated with the help of microbes or bacteria. So, when in such preparations alcohol is self generated, that is, it is being generated with the help of the reactions that we are using while formulating. The condition takes place in Ayurvedic or Unani medicines. You all have gone through Ayurvedic formulations, we can say Asava, Arishta or such formulations in which while we are formulating it, the alcohol is generated in the procedure. So, in that case the fees was ₹25. Design and construction of bonded lab, manufacture of preparations in bonded lab. So, we have seen the three rates of fees, that is less than 4,000, then we have to pay ₹100 per liter. If more than 4,000, then we have to pay ₹200 per liter, and if it is in case of Ayurvedic or Unani medicine, that is self generated alcohol, then it is ₹25 per liter. So, let us see some other points of license. The license is issued from the office of the excise commissioner of the state for alcohol. So, we were applying for DNC Act. DNC has then referred our application to the excise commissioner officer. Excise commissioner officer will study our premises, the staff we are involving, the equipments we are using, the formulations we are working on, and the history of the manufacturer. That is, how many preparations have been manufactured earlier by the same person or the same company. So, going through these points, the excise commissioner is, when satisfied, will give you the license to do so. So, this is the point. Let us go through it again. The license is issued from the office of the excise commissioner of the state for the alcohol. Application should be made 2 months in advance prior to the date of manufacturing, along with the requisite fee as indicated. The application should include. So, the second point that you have to remember is the amount of the fees that has to be accompanied with the application form 2 months earlier as before the commencement of the manufacturing. The 2 months duration is taken by the excise commissioner to examine the premises, to examine the staff and the manufacturing history of that industry. So, if you are wanting to start your business, you should be ready with a 2 months gap for all these activities to take place. Now, if we talk about the details of the license and what are the information it is containing, then we have the name and addresses and the site of bonded laboratory, if it is a firm, and address of every partner that is included in that firm. If it is a company, its registered name, address of the managing director and directors. So, depending upon the venture that you are planning, that it can be a solely headed laboratory, it can be a venture of 3 to 4 people, or it can be a firm that is being already registered and now being working for the manufacturing of alcoholic preparations, the managing directors and the directors, then detail of such persons should be mentioned on the form that we are using. Now, let us see the other words, that is capital to be invested for the bonded appreciation. How much the market capital are the firm being using for the production of the alcoholic preparations. It should be clearly mentioned on the license that we are using. Number and description of apparatus, machinery that we are using, stills and the number maximum amount of alcohol to remain at one time. That is, while we are manufacturing a preparation, then the maximum amount of volume of alcohol that we will be consuming while preparing the formulation should be clearly mentioned on the form that we are applying for. The approximate date of starting manufacturing, requirement of excise officer, either whole or a part time, that is the formulation, if the industry is working throughout the day, then we will be requiring the presence of excise commissioner from the day starting the day from 9 to 5, or you can say the timing of the factory depends upon the owner of the factory. So, it should be well in advance decided by the owner that the working will be on hourly basis or it will be on shift basis or whatever. So, because the working will be conducted in the presence of excise commissioner, so the availability of the excise commissioner will be seen importance. Then coming to the next point, the list of preparations containing alcohol, license number issued by the licensing authority under DCA, that is Drug Cosmetic Act, and elevation plans, plan of the different rooms, details of doors and windows, quarters for excise staff to be provided. That is, you have to mention each and every bit of detail in that form, that you are providing the quarters for the excise commissioner in that premises, or the number of the equipments that are being used, or the list of already prepared medicines by the same manufacturer, the elevations plan, the maps of the rooms, the design of the rooms, the construction of the labs, the material that are being used in the construction of the labs, each and every single bit information has to be included in that application form. So, therefore, license is very much important. It is like we are working as a homework while we are going for a test after some time. So, thorough preparation is required by the owner of the company while starting for the business of or manufacturing of alcoholic products. Now, if we talk about the duty on medicinal and toilet preparations, what are the rates under which the duty has been charged? So, it has to be categorized like allopathic drugs, Ayurvedic drugs, Unani drugs, etc. Ayurvedic drugs category has been mentioned in your syllabus, so it will be discussed separately in another topic. Over here, we will be discussing about allopathic medicines. If we talk about allopathic medicine preparations and toilers preparation containing alcohol, then when the case number 1, when the alcohol consumed, the pure alcohol content is more than 2250 liters per annum. We have seen the license fee that was reminding the factor of 4,000, less than 4,000 and above 4,000. Over here, when we talk about allopathic preparation, then the factor changes to 2250 liters per annum. So, if we are consuming alcohol in 2250 liters per annum or more than it, then the fees is 200 ad valorem. Ad valorem is the unit of this tax. In the second case, when the alcoholic consumed, the pure alcoholic content is more than 2250 liters per annum, then it is 400 units ad valorem. So, these were the two cases under alcoholic preparations. Now, if we talk about homeopathic preparations. So, when it is about homeopathic preparation, when it is the content is less than 2250, it is 200. When it is more than 2250, then it is 400. It is exactly similar as allopathic medicine we have seen in the last slide. Allopathic medicine, when it is less than 2250, it was 200. When it was more than 2250, then it was 400, and similarly we have for homeopathic preparations. Now, if we see the other part, point number C, or you can say the third case under homeopathic preparations, then medicinal preparations and toilet preparations not containing alcohol. First point is not containing alcohol, but containing opium, Indian hemp or other narcotic drugs or narcotics, then it is 20 units ad valorem. So, over here it is not the consumption of alcohol, or alcohol is of not importance, but it is the narcotic drug that is of importance, then we have 20 units ad valorem. So, the next is medicinal preparations in Ayurvedic, Unani or other indigenous system of medicines containing alcohol and which are prepared by distillation or to which the alcohol has been added separately, then it is 50 units ad valorem. So, you have seen how the preparation is tax has been calculated. Now, coming to the topic of manufacturing outside bond duties, we have seen that allopathic medicinal preparation and toiletry preparation containing alcohol. The case number 1, where the alcohol consumed, the pure alcohol is 70 liters or less than, it is 20. When the consumption is 280 liters or more, then it is 50, and when it is 280 liters or more, then it is 400. So, you have seen the three factors under which the rates are being calculated. These are some values that you have to be thorough with it and you have to learn it by heart. Now, if we talk about the homeopathic preparations, 70 liters or less, then it is 20, it is exactly same. More than 70 or less than 280, then it is 50 rupees, and more than 280, it is 400 rupees. So, it is exactly the same figures that we were discussing in the last slide. So, you have to be smart enough to learn these values and to write in your answers. That is, the values are the same, but you have to use different words as allopathic system and homeopathic system. Ayurvedic system will be discussed in the coming up sessions. Now, if we talk about the point number C, that is alcoholic content is absent, but we have the narcotic drugs, then it is 20 rupees, 20% ad valorem, and medicinal preparation in Ayurvedic, Unani or other drug in which alcohol is being added, then it is 50 rupees ad valorem. So, these are the two figures that you have to learn by heart. Now, coming to the laboratory specification, that how you have to construct your laboratory while going for the manufacturing of alcoholic preparation, here are some points. Let us go through them in detail. A separate plant spirit store is required to be provided in the bonded premises, that is, a separate plant spirit should be there. There should be only one entrance to the laboratory. Only one entrance should be there. There should be no two doors in one room, in a single room. Only one entry and the same exit should be used for that laboratory. A separate room for manufacturing of medicinal preparation, one or more rooms for storage, separate room for manufacturing of toilet preparations and the storage, a room for excise officer in charge near the entrance with the furniture. So, these are the important points that you have to be ready with while developing your lab. Separate room for each and individual activity, only one entrance gate for that room in your laboratory, and an room for an excise officer on the entrance of your laboratory. So, we will see the next slide. The bonded laboratory should be opened and closed in the presence of excise officer in charge and secure with ticket locks, that is sealed locks. Ticket locks, what are those? That is a sealed lock that in the presence of the excise commissioner, the seal will be opened and you have to start your manufacturing, and in the presence of the excise commissioner, you have to close it. Now, we will talk about the windows, the specification, those are important for windows. Every window in the bonded laboratory should be provided with the iron rods and not less than 19 mm in thickness, set apart at a distance of not more than 102 mm, and the iron rod should be embodied in the bricks construction to a depth of 51 mm at each end. This point is due to clear that koi bhi black marketing na ho paye. The alcohol which is used for the medicinal purpose is fully being consumed in the preparation of medicine. While preparing, the alcohol is not being shifted to the other place. The windows should be covered from inside with a strong wire netting. The aperture of should be exceeding 25 mm. Each room in the bonded laboratory should have a board indicating the name and the serial number of the room and the purpose for which the room has been prepared. That is, the name plate or the number plate of the room should be mentioned on the gate. The pipes from the sinks in the laboratory should be connected close to the drainage system, apart from general drainage system. The proper drainage system should be developed in your laboratory. The gas and the electric supply should be arranged in such a way that they are cut off at the end of the day work from one place. Power and electric supply should be separated because we are dealing with an alcoholic or spirit containing formulation. So, alcoholic and gas supply should be, or you can say the electric and gas supply should be separately cut off while we are not working or we are not present in that place. All the regulators or switches should be securely locked. So, short circuit का case ना हो जाए, कोई mishappening ना हो जाए in the absence of people, so everything should be well maintained. The permanent vessels in the bonded laboratory should bear the serial number and statement of the capacity of the vessel. The equipments or the machinery that we are using should be labeled and numbered. The indent should be sent in duplicate in the prescribed form, countersigned by the officer in charge of the laboratory. The alcohol is issued in duly sealed containers and under intimation to the excise concerned. No wastage during transshipment is permissible. For any loss due to negligence of the manufacturer, excise duty has to be paid. Verification and storage of alcohol. What are the specifications that you have to follow while storing your alcohol? On its arrival in the bonded laboratory, alcohol is measured first, the volume and its strength. The entries are made in the registers and stored in the spirit store room under excise lock with perfect coordination between the excise officer in charge and the officer of the manufacturing unit. The alcohol is issued from the spirit from time to time in accordance with the procedure laid down under the rules. So, let us see the issue of alcohol from the store. The manufacturer should calculate requirement of alcohol and hand it over to the excise officer. All ingredients should be kept ready, and on receipt of alcohol, the solvent should be mixed immediately in the presence of excise officer. That the main ingredient of the formulation is alcohol. The other ingredient should be well ready in hand, and when the formulation are being processed, then the alcohol is issued with the indent from the excise commissioner inspection, and then it is used for the preparation of formulation. The manufacturer should calculate the requirement of the alcohol and hand it over to the excise officer. All ingredients should be kept ready, and on receipt of alcohol, the solvent should be mixed immediately in the presence of excise officer only. So, this is the way we have the issues of alcohol from warehouse, or you can say the storehouse, to the formulation lab. Now, if we talk about issue of alcohol from store, the precollators or the other vessels containing alcohol during the process of manufacturing and storage should be labeled with the name of the product, batch number, description, quantity of the alcohol used, date of the manufacturing, and the quantity of the preparation removed. So, when we are talking about the storeroom, it should be clearly describing the date, the batch number, and the quantity of alcohol that is being saved. The preparation should be immediately removed from the store, measured and stored in the vessel provided entered in the register and give a batch number. So, if we are storing the alcohol in our vessels only, then it should be well labeled with a batch number, and entry should be made in the registers simultaneously. So, we have seen the issue of finished goods from bonded laboratory. Bonded laboratory, because we have not yet paid the duty over it, so this is the important point. The manufacturer makes application to excise officer and pays excise duty, or it can be adjusted against any advance duty paid by him. So, this is the point, we have to pay the excise duty of the alcohol that we are consuming. Only on payment of calculated duty, the goods containing alcohol and narcotic drugs are permitted to taken out of the bonded laboratory by the excise officer. So, it is the excise officer under which inspection you have to pay the duty, and then you can transfer your goods from the industry to the finished goods store and the market. Issue of finished goods from bonded laboratory. Exemptions are there, certain exemptions are there where we do not have to pay the duties, and those exceptions are the preparations supplied to the government hospitals, dispensaries, charitable hospitals and institutions which supply medicines to poor as certified by the district medicinal officer are exempted from payment of excise duties. So, these are the certain areas where you are exempted to pay the duty over such conditions. So, thank you guys. This was all in detail about the inborn preparations and how the industry has to be manufactured and developed for the preparation of alcoholic drugs. So, with this I will be completing my third part of medicinal and toiletry preparation. We will be soon coming up with my fourth lecture on it. Thank you guys, meeting you soon.